1977, when I go to work for Dick Holbrook at the State Department, I was about 10 years into my State Department career. This is the first time I've ever actually worked at a State Department job or in the State Department. And I'd spend the next 18 to 20 months working for Dick as his special assistant in the East Asia Bureau. And here I am now in the State Department. I'm not a junior officer anymore, but kind of mid-level, but the beginning of mid-level. And a lot of my friends and contemporaries who I would see now every day in the State Department, a number of them Vietnam hands who are back, and others working in similar kind of jobs, and we'd see each other, we'd spend time in the cafeteria having lunch. And every time we got together, there was sort of a common theme that somehow the State Department was retreating from the commitment to excellence. There's sort of within the State Department kind of two personnel systems. On the one hand, those who are judged and chosen for jobs based on how well they performed, irregardless of how long you've been there, what's your personal rank, your personal grade that you have. And like Dick Holbrook had asked me and chosen others to work for him, he was using this system of excellence. What's your reputation? What do people say about you? What have you done? What have you accomplished? And that gets you jobs. Then there was the regular State Department, HR, although they didn't call it HR in those days, system, orderly. You have a personal rank and a grade, and people who have been in the service longer, who have higher grades, always should have the job. And those lower ranking, lower grades, no matter what you've done, you wait your turn. So it was super frustrating. And the sense was that this new administration, the Carter administration, Cyrus Vance as Secretary of State, political appointees all over the building, were making decisions and were allowing this other, more traditional rank and grade system make the decisions for personnel. And so as I talked to officers, I became really concerned about it. And I'd find other, hey, you remember we were together in Vietnam? And they all felt the same as I did. So I put together a small group. At first there were 5 or 6 of us, and we would meet in the East Asia Bureau conference room. We'd bring our lunch up and sit there and talk about it and start to write down our concerns. And as others heard about it, said, hey, can we join? Can we get there? So pretty soon we were starting to fill up the table, and 10, 15, 20. I was included African American officers because we didn't want there to be any sense that this was against affirmative action that the Carter administration was promoting to give African American employees opportunities they had been denied for so long. Had women officers as part of it, so who had their own concerns about the personnel system. But all of us shared this view, this declining commitment to excellence. So pretty soon, there were 46 of us. And I wrote out kind of a list, a petition of grievances, as you might call it, list of concerns, and we got it all together. We reviewed it, went through it. Everybody was comfortable. And I went up to see the executive secretary, who was the career officer who coordinated everything. I said, here is our list of concerns signed by 46 Foreign Service officers. We want to see the Secretary of State and discuss these. So he was a career officer, but very connected and loyal to the Secretary of State. He was extremely, extremely unhappy. But he took it from me, and we would soon hear from him. And in the meantime now, our petition of grievances was being circulated, sent out to embassies. Others were writing in, sending, add my name, add my name. We had ambassadors saying, I want my name on this. Assistant secretaries of state, career officers, I want my name on this. We soon had over 500 names of other officers who wanted to be part of this. And so we get the word, the secretary is willing to see you now. So I asked 4 other officers to go with me, 2 men, one African-American ambassador, George Moose, great friend to this day, Alan Romberg, China hand. We had worked together at the NSC, brilliant officer. Barbara Bodine, who's now a dean in the School of Diplomacy at Georgetown, later ambassador in Yemen. And we go in, see Cyrus Vance, the Deputy Secretary of State, Warren Christopher, the senior management undersecretary, all political appointees, all there. And we said, we are here because we believe in excellence needs to be the standard by which officers are judged and promoted. And this system in the Foreign Service gives credit only to rank and insists that your rank and how long you've been in service. And this is stifling, and it's keeping young officers from being able to move up fast by doing great work. And so Vance said that he took what we said seriously. He wanted to set up committees to look into everything. This would start a 2-year process, but it ended up with the Foreign Service Act, the entire legislative basis under which the Foreign Service of the United States is established and operates, going back to 1920s, rewrote the entire Foreign Service Act for new legislation in 1980. It's called the Foreign Service Act of 1980, and it establishes the principle of up or out, that you have to keep moving up or else the system will move you out of the way. I mean, not perfect, but it was an enormous change. And for our willingness and for my leadership in being the lead revolutionary, confronting the Secretary of State, that I received the William R. Rivkin Award, given by the American Foreign Service Association, the Officers Association, for intellectual courage and creative dissent. It was a new award. It had just been established a few years earlier. So I'm one of the very first to receive it. And when I did, I said, of course, I'm accepting this on behalf of all of the 45 other officers who signed our petition of grievances and the hundreds others who supported it. This was not just one person, it was all of us. But I was the one who got the group together, wrote the petition of grievances, and spoke on behalf of all of the officers in confronting the Secretary of State in his office about the conduct of foreign affairs and the status of the morale of this vital part of the Foreign Service, the young officers, all committed to excellence.